Like, that's very oily. It's giving Philly cheesesteak. Okay. Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three, Bougie Vintage. And today's video is a Deadbeat Dad the Pastor update, girl. As you know, a few months ago, after I decided to take the biggest step of my life and be single after 10 years, I had some closure that I had to take care of. Now, I did it in a way that was very challenging, public, but I did not care. Now, when I had originally wrote the questions to ask my father, it had been at the beginning of the end of my marriage, but I didn't know it was the beginning of the end of my marriage. So when I first wrote those questions down, it was because I was seeing a lot of similarities between my ex-husband and my father. However, at the time I was still married and wanted to ask those questions because, one, I was very open to having a relationship with my father, and two, I needed to heal something there. I wasn't sure why, but I knew throughout my entire relationship that it would either one day affect my relationship or it already was affecting my relationship. Both things happened to be true. So, one mistake I made was hyper-focusing on the fact that my ex had a job. I realize now that I was so traumatized about my father not having a job and my mom being the breadwinner that I never wanted that for myself. However, it just so happened that that's exactly what I got. And I was essentially, for a while, the breadwinner, and I wasn't getting much of anything from my ex. Now, there was contribution there, right? We're not going to say he didn't contribute at any point, because he did. But it got to a point where it was more easy for me to actually get any kind of financial help from my mother versus going to my ex, because I was uncomfortable going to him to ask him for anything because it was always made to be a big deal, and then I would shut down. I was just like, never mind, I'm gonna figure it out, sir, because I can't do this. Okay, I can't do this. I'm trying to feed these babies. I can't do this. I can't be tallying up the groceries to tell you, sir, I just trying to feed my kids. I'm not taking the money to go to the nail salon, girl. I do my own nails. Okay, you know, I cut back on my damn expenses. I figured I had to do my own damn acrylics. Okay, because my nails were pretty pricey, but I was using my money to do it, so that was neither here nor there. But why is my phone going off like this? But the facts were that my relationship with my father and how I viewed my father as a man in the relationship definitely plagued my actual marriage, because I was so scared of being with a bum, okay, because my father, very bum energy, okay, so I was very terrified of that. And so throughout my entire childhood to adulthood, I was like, I can't do that. I'm not gonna do it. And so the very minute that I saw that in my, at the time, boyfriend, I nipped it in the butt and I called it out, and changes were made. And so my ex got his butt up and got himself a job. Went to school, got a job. And so I was so focused then on my ex being employed and not staying home scratching his balls, watching TV all day, or playing video games all day, that I ignored all the other issues that were identical to issues that my father presented. So fast forward to when I get to this weird, tough place after having kids with my spouse, I then have to go back and clock certain things, write them down, and say, I'm gonna ask my daddy. So I write these questions down because my father and I were in communication. And so I write these questions down and I'm excited to ask them. And I'm thinking, my dad was talking about coming to Ottawa to visit me and I'm going to meet his other kids, okay? And so at that point, I'm thinking my dad's going to be like on my YouTube channel because what a testimony that I did Deadbeat Dad the Pastor. Now you guys are meeting Deadbeat Dad the Pastor and now we're going to call him a renewed daddy, okay? So I'm thinking big shifts are going to happen, but a very rude awakening happens in between the time that I write the questions and that I actually get to ask the questions. And the rude awakening was that my father hadn't changed. He had not changed. And so again, I'm seeing the similarities between him and the other man in my life. And I'm like, yikes. I ended up married to my father. Just like they say, it happens that way. They say men marry their mother and girls marry their daddy. Okay, so if you have relationship issues with your parents and you don't heal those things, you tend to attract the same type of people. So a commonality between the two main men in my life at that time were men that were emotionally unavailable. Ooh. And so my father, very emotionally unavailable, and my ex, extremely emotionally unavailable. Mommy issues, neglect, just problematic. And so once I clocked that, I was like, yeah, no, I got to get to the bottom of this, because if I can get to the bottom of it with my papa, I'll be able to navigate it with my man. Okay, because at that time, I'm not thinking I'm leaving this man. Okay, I'm thinking once I get it together with him, I'll be able to get it together with him, and we smooth sail it. We're gonna grow all together, all these things. But that's just not how the chips were gonna fall. Okay, that's not the hand I was dealt. So when I actually got to ask the questions, my marriage had already fizzled out. Baby, it didn't even fizzle out, baby. And if it did fizzle out, it was baking soda and vinegar, okay? It was a whole volcanic explosion, okay? So, it didn't fizzle out. It blew up. But by the time I'm asking the questions to my father, I had actually already put the last nail in the coffin. I already knew that I wasn't going to go forward with the relationship with him, but I know that I'm not going to be single for life. I know I'm going to come across another man, girl, okay, one of these days, okay? See me at the Costco, daddy, okay? I know I'm going to come across a man again. So in order for me to, have healthy relationships with men, I need to address the situation with my father, and I was fully aware of that. So I made the executive decision that I would ask those questions. And not only would I ask them, but because I knew it was going to be my very last interaction with this man forever, okay, forever, I decided that I would record it and put it on YouTube. Some people did not agree with what I did, but I don't give a damn, because it's not your daddy, okay? And the thing about it is, every time that I've ever had a conversation or interaction with my father, that's the energy. So whether I was recording or not, that would have been the energy. My tone on the call didn't really change much until I get to the end of the call. And I said, you have to answer to God, okay? You have to answer to God. That's when my energy changed on the call, because I was fed up. I was fed up of being gaslit. I was fed up of the last 30 years of my life. This man has taken zero accountability. I was fed up of the fact that he's still not willing to say he dropped the damn ball. And the truth of the matter was, I was actually asking the questions genuinely, but my camera was rolling, which was fine. Because at the end of the day, I wrote the questions with the intention of healing the relationship. I never got to ask the very last 3 questions on the list, which were, the very last question on the list was, now that you've, answered these questions, how do I get to know the version of you that exists now versus who I knew you to be? Because I was open to relationship with my father. But when people show you who they are, the first time, you believe them. I'm not going to repeat these same things in my future relationships, because I'm fully now aware of, one, how I am in a relationship and what I do and how forgiving I am. Baby, I'm not forgiven. Okay? There will be no forgiveness. Okay? There will be no forgiveness. Okay? You forget my apple juice at the store one day, I might forgive that. But like anything else, baby, It's not given that, okay? Because I have been so lenient with men for whatever damn reason, too damn lenient. And that is very much done for. It's plagued. And so the reason I'm making this video is obviously to update you guys on the status of my father's relationship with me now, or my relationship with my father now. It is non-existent, and it is going to stay that way. I like I said, before I turned 30, I knew who I was cutting off. I was cutting off my ex. I was cutting off my father and my sister, okay, and anybody that was problematic, cutting them off. I can love from a distance. I don't have to love you up close if you are toxic, and that's the bottom line. Because what? Because Stone Cold said so, okay? So I don't have to sit and validate anybody's feelings. None. And I won't. Pretty much what happened after that phone call was uploaded to YouTube, because I recorded it way before I actually uploaded it. And so pretty much what happened was, after the phone call was had, and my father, based on the call, I guess, I had said a lot of things to him that should probably have been making him think, okay? And so after we got off the phone, he of course had called me maybe twice and left messages, but his number was blocked, so it was going straight to voicemail. And there was one text message that came through on my old MacBook, and that was after his number had been blocked. But like, he damn well knew that there was going to be no more communication. And that was an executive decision, because at the end of the day, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm hitting a wall, or if I'm talking to them and they're draining me, I can't get anywhere with them, there's no need for me to ever try to talk to them again. I'm too old to do it, okay? And really, when I was on that phone call with my father, I was very triggered. I remained calm though, and that phone call with my father was very much a good example to show you how things would go between myself and my ex as well. Because anytime that we would have any kind of conversation, or what was supposed to be a conversation, if I wasn't met with stonewalling, I was met with gaslighting. I was met with disrespect, not listening, talking over me, not allowing me to get a word in edgewise, lies. So like, that was a perfect picture of what was going on, and it's frustrating to deal with. And so where my father is concerned, I just refuse to put myself through that ever again. My daddy, my man, boyfriend, whoever, cousin, I don't care, baby. It's not happening. You want to sit there and gaslight me and invalidate my feelings? We don't have to have a conversation. That's just how I feel at my big age. I'm not going to subject myself to any kind of abuse from anyone ever the frig again. Because at the end of the day, what we know about abuse and women or men being in abusive relationships, it starts at home. It starts with what your normal is. I was able to normalize my father's behavior, my father's coldness. And then when I get with a man that's equally as cold, I think it's normal. Or I make excuses for them, their upbringing, their this, their that. I'm like accepting it for what it is, and they know that. So I get taken advantage of in the process, and then I end up looking like boo-boo the damn fool. It's not happening. So, like I said, when I called I didn't call him. When my father called me that day, it had been months since we had last spoken. And he had in fact ignored the pictures that I had sent of my children to his phone, because he was being a pissy little baby when I had sent those pictures, and decided he wasn't going to respond to the pictures, not a double tap on them, nothing. He didn't acknowledge them. And I felt like, good, okay, well, now I know, and that's the last straw for me, because I don't play by my kids, and I don't give a damn who it is. I don't play by my kids. So if I send you a picture of my kids, you better freaking acknowledge it. You better acknowledge that. I sent you personal photos of your grandchildren, and you ignored it because you were mad about something irrelevant. That makes no sense to me. So I already knew that I was not going to try to salvage the relationship again, because I had done it throughout my entire childhood. It was always me reaching out to my father to, see where we could be, how we could grow together, how we could do this. It was never my father reaching out to me to do that. And so I just knew I was done. Okay. 3 decades of that is a lot. Okay. Me turning 30 was like a big deal. All that stuff that I accepted in the first 3 decades, or the first 2 decades, really, they weren't about to enter the 3rd decade. The door is closed. What did Nene say? The door is closed. So, boom, I asked the questions, and I'm not met with real answers. In fact, he tells me that the questions are not real, when I had actually gone to my therapist with the questions, and she was talking to me about the questions and how powerful they are. And when I told her that the conversation happened, what I said to him in the moment when I said, I don't have perceptions, I only have experiences, she was commending me on how I called out that gaslight. I don't have a perception of my father. I only have experiences, many experiences. Okay. And he tried to trip me up a few times on the call, like, oh, well, if they weren't all bad, like talking about, wouldn't let me finish my sentences, which is scrambling my brain, which is what they do. They're agents of chaos. Okay. When I call him out then for being uncomfortable or annoyed, he's sounding annoyed. You're psychoanalyzing me. You're psychoanalyzing me. No, I'm not psychoanalyzing you. I'm listening to the tone of your voice. And I could tell that I've struck a nerve of some sort, and you don't like me asking you these types of questions because, 1, the questions hold him accountable, but 2, they allow him to see that he is not this perfect man of God that he portrays himself to be in front of the damn congregation every damn week. It's not given that, And so then on top of that, he knows that there's potentially going to be a video on YouTube because I had already done it. Okay. And because of that, and the embarrassment that comes with that. Listen, people that are narcissistic or have narcissistic tendencies, traits, whatever, they do not want to be embarrassed. They don't want you to call them out for the bad. So him being called a deadbeat dad, when he's been trying to tell the whole entire world that he's been a great dad. He tried to tell me on the phone that he's been a great father, and he still is. But you ignored pictures of your grandkids because you were mad. What? You're the best dad in the world, baby. So he don't want nobody to know the truth. Okay, the truth scares people like that. And so when the video goes up, and it gets back to my father, of course, because church is always going to be messy, okay? The people from the church going to see the video. They're going to bring it to the church. They're going to be, okay, talking about it. Okay, my father's going to be brought to attention, so he's going to send him the link. He's going to be picking himself up off the damn floor, okay? Because he really should watch the video and hear himself talking to his youngest daughter, his baby girl. Okay, he should hear himself talking to me and bring it to God. Okay, so after the video goes up, my father does the typical thing, which is call my sister and play victim. He's acting confused on the phone. She said he was just rambling. She said he was just talking. She said she never even spoke. She said I didn't say anything. I just let him talk. And so when my sister tells me this, I said, well, that's the problem. You let him talk. So because my father has, in my childhood, he was never able to do the coercion thing with me, but he was very good at it with my sister. So he definitely did that when we were kids, went to my sister talking about my mom and all these things, problematic AF, okay? But he couldn't do it with me because me and my mama were ace boon coons, baby. Couldn't nobody say nothing to me about my mom, especially not that man. I told y'all the day that my mom left my dad, it was a Friday night. He asked me, do you know what you're wearing to church tomorrow? I said, yes, it's on my bed. I got in the car and boogied. I left the dress that I hated the most. It was a sign that, me as a kid was epic. It was a sign, okay? I left the dress that I hated the most in the world on that bed. and I got in the car with my mama and left. My dad had no idea we were leaving, okay? And I was elated to go. It's so crazy that, oh my God, I'm having like a revelation right now. When I was a child, I was not easily manipulated by my father. However, because I didn't allow my father to manipulate me, once I became an adult and I started dating and I attracted a manipulative man, I didn't even put the two and two together of what manipulation and coercion looks like, because I hadn't experienced it with my father, because I didn't allow him to when I was a child. My instincts as a child allowed me to keep a distance with my father. But when it came to a man that I'm in a relationship with, and obviously you throw sex in the midst, and like, you know, you're having sex with your partner, so you guys are connecting on a different level, you're gonna be able to be manipulated and controlled because you've not really experienced it before. You saw it with your sibling, but you didn't experience it. It's so strange. Wow, this is actually very revealing right now. This is like, I'm having like a serious like moment right now. Anyway, my dad was never able to manipulate me as a kid, but I was able to be manipulated as an adult because I couldn't recognize it. That being said, he calls my sister and he's playing the victim. My sister lets him talk. And so I said to her, you shouldn't have let him talk. You should have called him out and talked to him the same way you talk to me about him. You know, don't sit there and let him talk, because then he feels like he has somebody, a confidant. He has somebody to go to where, you know, this is concerned. Because he's on the phone talking about he doesn't know where this is coming from. Like, yes, you do, sir. Like, what? Like, huh? One of the main questions that really gagged me was when I said, do you understand that, you know, your how you are in your marriage, how you are as a parent affects your children in like the outside world once they are in those relationships? And he said yes. And then when I followed it up with a question about what he's doing differently in his current marriage, he shut it down immediately. No, ma'am. No, no. He's like, no, you're not, mind your business. He told me to mind my business. Meanwhile, I'm going through a divorce, so I'm like, well, I'm trying to mind my business, sir, but I missed a few things along the way, so I'm trying to collect these infinity stones now so that I don't do it again. And he's not trying to help me, baby. So he calls my sister. He's playing the victim. My sister tells me, he called her, and he was ranting, whatever, acting like damn victim. She didn't really, you know, say, well, Dad, she not lying. She never said that. And so I kind of felt like I was hung out to dry because, you know, but my sister's not like she's not confrontational. I don't know. She tries to be the peacemaker where ain't no peace to be had. Okay. Like there's no peace there. So, I felt kind of slighted because I definitely have gone up for her. Matter of fact, when my father didn't text me back, with the pictures, it's because I was going up for my sister. Right? I went up for her, defended her to him because he was on some BS. And when he called her, that's not the same energy. But I understand because I know my sister. Like, I know she's just not that girl, right? She's not confrontational. And if you do confront her, she's just not into it, you know? So I wasn't mad at her for it, but I definitely was a little disappointed that she didn't, my sister's keeper me, you know? But I understood. So he did try to, you know, play victim there and yada, yada, yada. But as of today, December 6th, gagging. It's his birthday because it's my mom's birthday. And that's the only reason I know it's his birthday. It is my father's birthday today. So, yeah, I don't call him on his birthday, obviously, because he don't call me on mine. So, yeah, as of today, December 6th, we still are not communicating. I will not talk to him. And that's not because I hate him. It's not because I loathe him. It's because in 2023, I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing myself, my children, my mom, but I'm choosing peace. And my father, unfortunately, doesn't come with a bag of peace, okay? He comes with a nasty piece of problems and drama, and I'm not into it. I rather just, you know, keep my distance. You stay back there, sir. I rebuke you. I rebuke you in Jesus' name and all your negativity. I do not want it around me. Like, no. There is a hedge of protection around me from Jesus, and it's a force field, baby. And just there's certain people that cannot come into that hedge of protection, and he's just one of them. And that's unfortunate because he is, my father. But we always joke about my mom, immaculate conception, baby. So it is what it is. Anyway, that is my update on the deadbeat dad situation. You probably won't hear another update unless he, I don't know, kicks the bucket or something. That's the only time I'm probably ever going to talk about this again, because I'm not going to talk to him. So there should not be another update. But as of right now and heading into 2023, there's no relationship there, and there will not be a relationship there. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is the fact that a lot of you have, obviously in my comment section over the years, in any video pertaining to my father, the church, and obviously the most recent one, the video that I just did where we were on the phone together, you guys have shared with me your experiences and how the phone call that I made lets you know exactly what you're going to get. Yeah. Use me as your example. And I've always stated that on my channel. Use me as the example, because at the end of the day, there's no point in putting yourself through that. That phone call did something to me. It gave me closure, but literally after the call, I lost my appetite, which was reminiscent of things that happened between myself and my ex. I lost my appetite. I could not eat. I also went into fight or flight mode. I was going to leave my house for the weekend to decompress, but that was just a panic thing. I didn't end up doing that. What I ended up doing was having to have a shower to wash off the energy. Just wash it off, girl. From head to toe, baby. I just went to have a shower. I prayed, and then, all peace was restored. But talking to somebody on the phone shouldn't do that to you. It shouldn't disrupt your insides like that. And especially not your parent, for lack of a better word. Okay. So that's pretty much the experience, and, strength to all of you who are dealing with that type of parent, and no, you're not going to get anywhere. Just take it for what it is. Don't try to figure it out. I figured it out for you, girl. Okay, it's giving Rubik's Cube, and it's not it. So I really do. I'm sending you strength and peace about your situation. But I personally feel like you don't need to really go to the source, aka the parent that hurts you or has hurt you. You need to go to therapy and undo the trauma in therapy and figure out new tools that you can use to, heal the relationship without actually having to go to the person. Sometimes what happens is people pass away, and then you go to their graveside and you say everything you need to say to them there, give them their farewell, and that's what it is, after they kick the bucket. I'm glad I got to have the conversation before my dad kicked the bucket to let him know how I truly feel. I'm glad that happened, but I don't regret doing it. I would do it again, but I have no more questions to ask. I asked everything I needed to ask, and even in the questions I didn't get to ask, I still got an answer because of how he was behaving on the phone. So that chapter is officially closed, and it's so crazy that I closed both of those chapters with the toxic men in my life at the same damn time. You can't tell me that ain't divine intervention, baby. You can't, okay? Don't even try to. With that being said, I love you all so much, and I will definitely see you in the next one.